perhaps standing because I think you have to refer to the slides again, and also because sitting there, it awkward like front row of movie theater. So, we have up to about 11:10 for coffee time. I'm prepared to stretch a little bit into coffee time before the next session is 11:30. But Vijay, you have given a very thorough and comprehensive presentation. And on here, I'm quite sure there's some also Singapore developers who want to have some specific questions to ask of you. So I think I'll ask one question at a time because this question can be very specific. So please identify yourself and then please proceed to ask the question. The floor is open to those who like to ask questions for Vijay. Yes?
Modality-wise, yours is on the basis, concept-wise, Silicon Valley, or the French Silicon Valley, or the Russian Silicon Valley, or Chinese, for example. So modality-wise, I noticed that you have feasibility on the subsequent rather than on the forefront. You didn't do feasibility studies in the forefront before that, before you go into the Japanese orientation?
In fact, I think the emphasis has actually been laid on developing these feasibility plans and reports. The project has originally been conceived in 2007, right? And a lot of bilateral negotiations have happened between Indian players and Japanese players. So even before Japanese have committed their involvement in this project, DMIC DC Corporation was set up. Originally, it was majorly owned by the government. There was no stake at all for Japanese. They did a lot of feasibility studies, perspective plans, master planning exercises, etc. Only in 2012 did Japanese commit for the first time their stake in the project as well as the first tranche of loan, $4.5 billion for the project. So thorough planning has happened. I think this is for a change in India. A lot of planning went in before implementation started.
Yes, the gentleman, please. Can you please identify yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Manish. I represent asset management company based out of Singapore, UTR. We are also raising money for the Indian debt and equity as well as infrastructure projects. This is a great project, but I think have this land has been acquired. How government will think that this? I think land acquisition will be an issue.
It is.
So what they are thinking, I believe they may have thought about it.
Land acquisition definitely is an issue. However, states such as Gujarat have been a little, forward-looking on this aspect. And the state has actually consolidated large tracts of wasteland, and today can give a ready-made package for an investor, especially in the DMIC corridor projects. States such as Uttar Pradesh, maybe Haryana, and also Madhya Pradesh to an extent, given its environment sensitivities, have got challenges in consolidating and offering land. But land acquisition will be threefold. One is, if the state has got the land ready, I think it is more than happy to offer it right away. If this is going to be conceived as a PPP model, then acquisition could probably be relatively easy because the state engagement is prima facie there. And number three, if it is going to be purely private-led initiative, it will be tough. It will definitely be tough for acquisition. And another interesting trend in acquisition of land issue is the new bill that is on the table. I think the entire industry is crying foul that if this bill actually becomes a reality, it would distort the investment picture in the country. The current bill proposes 3 times market value for acquisition of land, and which is in form of compensation to whoever is being displaced. And in addition to that, requires consensus, almost consensus, acceptance from 80% of the landowners. I think that would make land acquisition extremely difficult. But thankfully, the proposal is still in the bill stage. There has been a lot of opposition from the industry and from different political parties. We are hoping that it won't become a reality.
So when you do think that it will, just a follow-up question on that.
Yeah.
When you think that we can see the first project or first start, right now it's a planning stage.
So the first project is already awarded out.
So land has acquisition started?
Gujarat is just running the show when it comes to the first set of initiatives. Dholera-Ahmedabad corridor has already been planned and pockets of it has been awarded out. Likewise, the next in the pipeline is a set of water supply augmentation initiatives in Madhya Pradesh, in Haryana, NCR region. They have all been lined up.
Well, so it is still on the land acquisition, actually. I just wanted to flag a warning. I'm from Bangladesh, and we too have 3 or 4 major mega projects, each of which has foundered on this problem of land acquisition. It has not, in fact, none of the 4 have taken off. My question also, you have mentioned JICA's involvement is 4.5 billion or whatever, but with the World Bank, has the World Bank been involved in any stage in the feasibility study of the total mega project, or is just the government of India that?
The World Bank is not directly involved in this DMIC project, as far as my knowledge goes. But World Bank has awarded, or rather is funding India Infrastructure Finance Corporation Limited, which is today one of the stakeholders of DMIC project, one of the equity owners in DMIC DC. They have given a credit line of, I think, $2 billion to
So no external feasibility study has been done?
None has been done by World Bank.
I'm Surya from ISAS. Could you say which are the early bird projects which the Japanese have taken up, and those projects, are they also in Gujarat? And what is this 26% ownership by the Japanese? How does it really translate in practical terms?
See, let me answer your second question first. The 26% stake in DMIC DC, Development Corporation, is not actually ownership of the entire project. It is a substantial ownership in the nodal agency, which is empowered to drive the project. So when Japanese investors get into India, into earlier unknown territories such as Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, etc., for them, there needs to be a degree of confidence that whatever is being planned, whatever is being driven will actually happen in reality. So they were asking for a stake in both the development corporation as well as, of course, in individual projects. So initially there was a back and forth on it, and now I think the government has decided in August, it has given out a circular that JBIC will take 26% stake in DMIC DC Corporation. This is not the investment that it is going to make. Answering your first question, some of the early bird projects are in these states, in these investment regions and industrial areas. Dholera is I think running fast. You have a greenfield aviation hub also coming up in that mega industrial park between Ahmedabad and Dholera. An aerotropolis is being planned in the Greater Jaipur region. Regional MRTs are being planned both in Gujarat as well as in Haryana NCR region. A knowledge city is being planned, or in fact in early stages of development in Ujjain, and a few other multimodal logistics hubs. These are the projects where Japanese have evinced interest, and players such as Mitsubishi and a few other recycling companies. Very interestingly, waste recycling companies have also entered into the fray in this particular corridor.
Perhaps following that, do you know of any Singapore companies which have course on the early bird scheme? We have quite a number of projects. They were like Jurong, Ascendas.
Jurong, Ascendas and Keppel, I was told, are definitely in the race for some of these projects. Integrated townships is where I think they are looking at playing a significant role. High Flux is actually quite active in bidding for water and water management projects.
Around the corridor. Yeah,
along the corridor. I think they're actually pretty involved.
Yes, I'm a private consultant for 30 years. I've been international company before, and also visiting some universities in China and India. Now the thing is this is a very relevant follow-up from the ambassador's question.
that I see it's the GLCs, very government-linked corporations, very active because I suppose we have the information.
And the scale, maybe.
The thing is that the big, large corporations in Singapore, I say big, not as big as Saudi Arabia, they don't know much about it. See, the thing is that what you say and presented is excellent. But, I mean, humbly recommend you should follow the same method as what the Japanese do, whereby the various prefixes will come out and present. Same also with the Chinese and then also with some other Malaysians. Skanda. You see, there you meet the people. And not only you, but you must meet from the various what we call organizations that are trying to attract. Listen. And that is, it will be very effective, I think.
I think they have done some roadshows before, I think last year.
Which,
not because of this TMIC, so they have done so.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, I think last year.
Yeah, but
so
the thing is that it's not, I don't know, it's not well publicized. See, probably someone somewhere, maybe our people also are lacking about promoting it.
Can you please address the question
Sorry,
to Ms. Mitchell?
can I-
What's
yeah.
the question? Yeah.
So the question is that, are there any plans for these big organizations to come out and do roadshows and all that, like what do you call it?
Yeah,
Like,
Mr. Kant was here.
I think they were here. There was about twice. I think,
Twice he has already.
apart from the DMIC, also the various state have come over to
Oh, have they?
publicize. The Chief
Gujarat,
Minister of
Madhya
Gujarat were
Pradesh,
there. Yeah. So it's not because of lack
Rajasthan
of
have all done
representation.
roadshows, including
Yeah.
in Singapore.
You see, but
For
the
DMIC.
point is this, sorry to say, not very well promoted.
I mean, you may have to look at ISA's website for
No, to be practical, and I put it this way, not only websites, some business people are very busy, they don't look at websites, they want to listen and they want to speak.
But
They look at what has, what you call that.
Excuse me, I think there are some SPF, some announcement, ideas. Some announcement.
Sorry for the interruption. Can I follow up from him? I'm
Yes.
Mani from SmartX Events Management. I do with special needs students also. Okay.
Events management, okay.
Events
Right.
management, well, special needs too. All right. I agreed with him to a certain percentage because Mr. Sibyl came to Singapore once with, he was telling the same thing, he was more onto the education part of it. But when I want to do a little bit more research on this, trying to get people where I can talk to, was hell of a difficult, I was in a very difficult position, seriously. I couldn't get the real info where I can go to. Well, I do agree with him, maybe for me, I was very interested in the township, integrated township, which we are talking about, maybe schools, small education part where we can really improve there. And maybe we should have somebody who is from that department who can, well, as he's saying, we were not aware of what the road shows were, so we are in the lurch. So maybe that could help. That is one part of, and it's difficult for us to get info where we are going to, for me, education is one part of it. So
I'm sorry.
maybe.
I think we'll take note. There are people from IE's International Prize Media Ministry. I think we should take note of this of this suggestion that we should, and also those business representative.
It's not always
A lot of
technical.
roadshows that happen, general
I
roadshows,
think
even
they are-
21st when Finance Minister is coming up, and he will talk about the investments in India. But specific to this project, people are not aware, that is the fact.
I think we
Even
should-
I have
Yeah.
also
So
my
you're
own
welcome to.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Seeing this interest, there is one way of doing it, and that is if Mr. Vijay's email is available to you, and you can
Yeah.
refer specific questions to him, and
Yeah.
we can make sure that if necessary, we bring over those specific people over here for a kind of an interaction, which will deal with specific business inquiries. But it will be difficult for him to understand
yes.
all that you are interested in. So if you send him an email saying, this is what I want to know, put it together and maybe bring those people.
Maybe they will come.
Yeah, thank you for the session. I would like to give time for those who have specific queries to Vijay, because those are involved in projects in India. So we have some questions now, or you can ask him if it's not to be made public, you can ask him during daytime. But I would like to open the floor to those questions to Vijay. I think you have asked this.
One last question. You didn't mention about the incentive at all.
Incentive for the project. Yes, good question. Yeah.
See, the incentive framework is 1 at the central level, 2 at the state level, and 3 at the project level. So if I have to kind of roll out all the incentives, tax, non-tax, land, non-land kind of, I think that itself would take a 1 hour solid presentation. But you're always free to write to me in case you want any project-specific incentive framework that is...
No, when I say incentive, means the exceptional, not the traditional, not the conventional. What is for anchor tenant coming in? What's so special about yours? Does yours is very much a basis where the Japanese are pulling up their Chinese investment and moving into the next, and that is India. And that's the purpose of the Japanese involvement actually, the migration.
The Japanese, I think, strategically are looking at making this as an export hub for Middle Eastern and African markets. So that is probably their long-term interest in being involved in this project. But for other investors, I think the market opportunity is the biggest driver why they should be there. You will have the entire Indian market out there for you to address from setting shop in this corridor. And the corridor is attempting to create an enabling ecosystem. You know, this problem of incentives, lack of commitments by different governments on honoring these incentives, etc., is an old story. Now the entire DMIC model has been conceptualized to create an ecosystem that would enable the industry and investments to foster, not give any specific doles to industry to, you know, run the projects in that location.
I think the question is more or less that Japan is good in financing, in railroads and perhaps highways, but there are areas that urban planning, you know, industrial training may not be a special forte of Japanese. I think perhaps the question behind it is, in what way does the DMIC or the central government make a coordinated approach to approach other foreign investors to come in as a big composite program? I think is there any such program apart from the one we're running now?
No, I think the question is the DMIC appealing to the rest of the world? I think they are doing it by individual. They are a project organization, so they are doing it by road shows all over the world. So whichever country. But Japanese, I think a small correction. Japanese are not interested in just in building up the infrastructure. They are interested in building up a lot of manufacturing utilities, particularly in the automobile, auto ancillary, light engineering, electronics, electrical sectors. They are actually interested in building. So they are looking at it as a huge manufacturing opportunity. So
I agree.
And well, others. I mean, I don't think that I don't think it makes sense to go hawk this project all around the world. I'm sure that the DMIC itself is doing it as much as it wants to.
No, I agree that Japan has very strong auto industry.
So, for example,
manufacturing, but before that, you have to build the parks, the roads,
yeah.
the
For example,
power.
this
so these
is
are one reason of repair.
This is an opportunity to reach out to Singapore investors. We have now specific questions.
This gentleman here.
My name is Vijay Saluja. I come from New Delhi. I've been in the local government. I have one or two suggestions, Vijay, which you can give to DMIC and which Singapore people can also help the project. You know, because there are so many stakeholders involved, so many players, so many states, so many local bodies, land acquisition, etc., etc., etc. And considering the skill set of the people in our local bodies, the attitude, the mindsets, and there are varied people, to let the project go in a very streamlined manner. If you can suggest to DMIC that they can also take the help of, there are very excellent institutions in Singapore and they have excellent best practices. If that can be translated into the skill development, some corporation or some organization within DMIC as the center, where Institute of South Asian Studies can also coordinate. It will help in, making them more tuned to this project of a very, very nature. Because as it is, there will be all sorts of people to block the project further, and so the need is of more skill upgradation.
Yeah, I think she'll talk about it. She'll be talking about
skill
skill
development,
gaps.
yeah.
It'll come immediately after.
Other questions? Okay, yes. Yeah.
Thinking from the experience that Suzhou Industrial Park has been developed, the way it has been developed, right?
Can you
Which
check yourself,
is very much
please?
similar.
Which company are you from?
No, I am retired.
Oh, okay.
So, given the experience, the Suzhou Industrial Park, right, which is a G2G project, has developed. It involves both hardware as well as software, which I think will be addressed later, right? But this is only a portion of the software that, you require the whole infrastructure, software infrastructure, in terms of legislation, for instance, right? Tax regimes and everything, in order to attract other investors to come in, because you cannot, it is not attractive enough given the current, legislations and or investment environment. If it is enough incentive without the park, I think investors will have come in. So, given the whole infrastructure, including the software part, any plans, to get the software implemented?
Yeah, I think
Now you're addressing only the hardware issues, right? But what about the software portion?
in fact, there has been a perspective plan that has been prepared for DMIC project. It is not a public document, which is why I can't share it with you. So this particular document addresses specifically some of these software issues that you've been referring to: skill development, capacity building, the kind of institution reforms that are required, etc. And they have referred to multiple international models. They've looked at models in Korea, they've looked at models in China, and of course Singapore as well. So most definitely there is an emphasis on laying out the software well ahead of time before you implant something on the hardware side of it. So that mindset is already there in the plans.
Can I just clarify a few things? Just I'll be very brief. Number one, the feasibility was done by ILFS, which is an institution which is acceptable to the international funding agencies. Now ILFS got off the board because they have a conflict. Having done the feasibility, they can't be bidding for the project. So ILFS did the feasibility, which is accepted by Government of India as well as Japanese. The second important point is Mr. Chowdhury's point about the land acquisition. The parallel experience in the National Highways Authority, we also planned the expressways, is more or less similar. The only project influence area is larger here, but otherwise the land acquisition is similar to what we have in National Highways. We have a bill which is cleared by the National Highways, where they don't need to concur with the states. They can straightaway acquire the land, subject to certain rules and regulations. The authority is given to the National Highways Authority. Something similar is being contemplated at the highest level. So, as Vijay had said, there is a policy that is there.
The states would have to concur.
No, in this particular case, they have signed the MOUs. They have already signed the MOUs. So, I don't see that as an issue at the moment. Now, the third important point is about the incentives and concessions. If you look at the slew of projects that you have, each one has a policy and incentives already laid. It's available on the website. The road sector has the highest amount of incentives in terms of the FDI, in terms of the taxes, in terms of the import duties. It's all available. I don't think government is contemplating anything extra other than those incentives that are available on the roads. On the power, we are almost unbundled the whole reforms now. Today we are at the third or fourth generation of the reforms. Electricity bill is on the anvil. Today you can have merchant power plants all over the country. So you are free to sell the power from any state to any state. So I think there is no more incentives that are required for the power sector. On the integrated townships, I must mention this point, smart city concept is what is being talked about. And smart city incentives and concessions are under contemplation at the highest level in the Government of India. A lot of workshops have been held in the recent past on the smart cities. If any of you would have attended, that's similar because we happen to have got involved with a Japanese firm in a smart city concept. The incentives and concessions, we looked at it, and Government of India is preparing a package of incentives and concessions so far as the integrated townships are concerned. Airports, you don't need any further incentives. The private sector has already participated at 51%. As I said, we are now going to this 2-tier and 3-tier level. I think we are at the brim of the incentives. In fact, we are on the other side, where the consumer has started complaining that they are taking incentives, but they're not passing on the benefit to the consumer. On the ports, we have a policy, we have incentives laid out. Private sector participation is already on. I think we are by and large in place on the incentives. So the gentleman's question is very relevant for the concept, but it's already there, developed in the country, and perhaps it requires a full session for him to present what are the incentives and concessions we can discuss. So these are the main things.
Any comments otherwise? Otherwise, I think you have still time, about 20 minutes to break for coffee. So both Vijay, personally, as Nelson said, before we thank him that those are problems, so I'd like to further and get his email from him, and this is the way you can proceed. And let's thank him, Vijay, again for very we will come back about 11:30, 11:30, and we have the next session on skill development by